Outside of a festival setting, could you imagine a better lineup than Anti-Flag, A.F.I, and Rise Against? Let me tell you about that show. So the venue for this show was the same outdoor venue where I saw Rancid and the Dropkick Murphys play last summer. I made a video of that show and I'll put the link in the description to this video. Now there's a big stadium right across the street from the venue, and just like last year when I came to see Rancid, there was a huge sporting event happening, and it was starting just as I was trying to get into that area to go see the show, so the traffic was atrocious, and unfortunately I ended up missing much of Anti-Flag's set as a result. I did manage to catch their last couple of songs, and I don't know what fountain of youth that Anti-Flag are drinking from, but not only do they sound the same as they did about 20 years ago, but they still look exactly the same too. And most importantly, they're still sharing the same vital socio-political messages in their music and at their shows. The last time I saw Anti-Flag play was at a very small little dive bar, and I much preferred seeing them in that setting than at this huge outdoor venue. It was a much more intimate, up-close concert. And so when they do their thing with bringing their drummer into the audience to play their last song or something like that, it was much more fun to watch it because I could actually see it at the small venue. But anyhow, it's always fun to see them perform regardless. A.F.I were up next, and from a lyrical perspective, they were certainly the odd band out, being sandwiched between Anti-Flag and Rise Against. They certainly don't have that same social and political commentary in their lyrics. However, their music is something I've really enjoyed over the years. I made a video after my last A.F.I concert where I talk about my history with the band, and again I can put that link below. But in a nutshell, I really enjoyed some of their earlier albums, not so much their recent stuff. But the great thing about seeing them live is they do play a lot of their older songs. Starting off their set, they did seem to have some technical difficulties. Davey wasn't happy about something with his sound, I think, and there were a couple songs where they seemed to have some technical issues, but it didn't stop them from putting on a really good performance. And when they got into some of their older stuff, I did manage to work my way up to the very front where I found a little mosh pit that was going there. In the process of being in the pit for about half a dozen songs, I somehow managed to chip the back of a couple of my upper teeth just a little bit by smashing them with my bottom teeth when somebody's head caught my chin or something like that. But no real harm done there. I certainly enjoyed their performance, and when it was over, I went out and managed to find a nice spot to sit down. It was a beautiful summer evening, thankfully, being an outdoor venue. And so we had a chance to sit in the grass for a while and catch our breath before Rise Against came on. Rise Against are an interesting punk band in terms of their mass market popularity. When songs from their third album, Siren Song of the Counterculture, started to get radio play, their popularity just skyrocketed overnight, and since then they've remained quite popular, I think, in the mainstream. I really do enjoy their first 4 albums. their most recent 4 don't seem to have quite the same fire and ferocity as those first few. I don't know if part of that is to appeal to the mass market, to remain a little bit radio friendly, but I'm not trying to knock the band. I still really enjoy Rise Against. I love their music, I really admire their lyrical content, and I think they're a great band. I did have a listen through their most recent album, The Wolves, that was released last year, and I found it was just kind of more of the same. It was good, but it wasn't super inspiring in terms of comparison to some of their earlier work. I don't know if this is sort of a weird comparison, but Rise Against kind of reminds me of another popular band. When it comes to straightforward rock and roll that's just really approachable, really palatable and popular, the Foo Fighters are just one of those bands that have been around for years and keep going strong. Part of it is, I think, the approachability of their music, and part of it is Dave Grohl's charisma and his appearance as just being a really cool, down-to-earth, nice guy. Now, while I do enjoy watching Dave Grohl's interviews, I'm not a particularly huge fan of the Foo Fighters. I find just kind of everyday rock and roll a little bit boring, which is why I'm more into the punk stuff. But I think the comparison is there for Rise Against in terms of being just kind of a more mass market, approachable band in the punk scene, with a lead singer who's just a really well-spoken, down-to-earth person, just as Dave is. As a result of their popularity, there were a ton of people there to see Rise Against, many more it seems than were there to see A.F.I and Anti-Flag. And in order to avoid the crush of people, I just kind of hung back and enjoyed the show with my 2 dear friends that I was at the concert with. Now, I do have to say this about Tim, the lead singer of Rise Against, and that he is just the absolute consummate professional. He worked so hard to make the local crowd there feel important and feel like they were in a special place. He actually talked about the last time they were in the city, and he mentioned who they were playing with and the venue they were playing at and how much they enjoyed that show. And he even went back to the time before that when they were in the city with another band at another venue, and it was an outdoor venue, and he talked about how the weather had been threatening severe storms all day, but when it came time for the concert, it was just a really beautiful evening. And this is 2 concerts ago, when most bands who tour as much as Rise Against do can barely remember what city they're in on any given day. In fact, the last time I was at this venue and I saw the Dropkick Murphys, they gave the wrong city name, and so Rancid were poking fun at them because of that. But yeah, so when most bands have barely any idea where they are at any given moment, here's Tim talking about the last couple times he's been in the city and the unique and interesting experiences he's had, and just making the local people there feel like they're so special and just so much fun to perform for. And I was really blown away by his efforts to do this. So a little over halfway through Rise Against, my friends had to get out of there and hit the road because they were literally in the middle of moving and they didn't want to get stuck in the crowd on the way out. So they headed out and I just continued to enjoy the show on my own. So I was just standing there on my own, enjoying the show, watching Rise Against do their thing, and some dude walks up to me with an open tall can of beer in each hand, and he hands one to me and says, "I got this from my friend, but he's disappeared and I can't find him, so do you want it?" And since I couldn't think of any reason to not accept an open beverage container from a stranger, I said, "Sure, thanks." And it was ice cold and full, and it was actually really quite refreshing, despite the fact that it was a Bud Light. I don't know if I've ever had a light beer before. I must have at some point, but it's been years and I can definitely see the comparison to barely flavored water. But actually, it's exactly what I needed at that point. I was quite thirsty. I'd been standing there a long time. I'd been in the pit for A.F.I. And the light beer was exactly what I needed. So that was a really nice moment towards the end of the concert there when a stranger gave me some refreshments. Not only that, but it was a generous gift. They were selling these tall cans of beer for $16.50 per beer at the venue, which blew my mind. I mean, come on, a single can of beer for nearly $17. So anyways, I was happy to get it and I enjoyed the rest of the set and overall just had a really fun night.
It's a flag that I love, and a flag that I trust. I kick down the door, I yell my commands. The children they cry, but I got my man. We took him away, back over his face, from his family and his home.
At this point, I've got one more concert on the calendar coming up next month. I'm going to see Streetlight Manifesto, so I'm looking forward to that, and I'm sure I'll do another video for that show. And in the meantime, let me know what music I should be checking out. What punk bands are out there that I need to be listening to? I'd really love to know. Alright, keep rocking, and I'll catch you soon. Hey, it's Josh. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you could consider doing one of the following things, I would appreciate it. Give me a thumb up, subscribe to my channel. If you've already subscribed, hit that notification bell, or share the link to the video with somebody who you think would enjoy it. So this concert was at the same outdoor venue. I did do a video about A.F.I recently that I can also post. I did do a video for A.F.I. Oh my god. There was a big... The Foo Fighters... Fly. When it comes to rock and roll bands that are just straightforward rock, really approachable, really palatable. Now I'm not a fan. No, I'm not a particularly Now, while I do think that Dave's Now, while I do watching and oh my gosh. So I was standing there on my own, just enjoying the show, watching the performance. So I was just standing there on my own, just watching the. So I was just standing there on my own, watching the show, enjoying Rise Against. So I was just standing there on my own, watching the show. So I was just standing there on my own, watching the show, enjoying